Chapter 9, Monday the 25th of January, 7 p.m. This has become not so much a whodunit as a what do you do about it? A bit like those great Columbo movies where you know who did it, but you have to keep watching to see how Columbo will catch them. We'd caught our suspect, Mr. Luke Starsky and Hutchins, but as the vicar had said, you cannot copyright an idea. If Luke was trying to sell the vicar's business plan, was there anything we could do to stop him, short of setting him up with a fine French prostitute and blackmailing him? His airiness' mind was already elsewhere. We are due at the Carlton in 9 minutes and 30 seconds, he said, cutting into my gruesome plans for a revenge attack. I have a meeting with a very beautiful young lady. Pray, do not tell my wife. She would be very jealous. Did that twinkle in his eye mean that he knew about my bitchy wife obsession? I think we should start walking, should we not? And we set off along Le Croisette to the Carlton. Even in January, it was a spectacular view. So, how do we nobble Luke? I asked. There will be time enough for that tomorrow, he answered, not wanting to discuss it any further. Our villain has already caused enough disruption without ruining our plans for a pleasant evening. He walked on in silence. You know that this is a gay haunt at night, don't you? I couldn't bear the silence. How would you know that, my fine fellow? He asked. Bit of an embarrassing story. I wasn't sure what he'd make of it. And no laughing, punksters, or next time I won't be so honest. I was wandering along here late one night after being kicked out of one of the boats that I was working on. Just turned 18 with no place to stay. I met this guy who was out walking his dog and he asked me if I was looking for somewhere to spend the night. And my sweet, naive little punk thought that he was just offering a bed for the night. Well, yeah, I thought, great. I'd already spent one night curled up in a hole in the rocks over there by the port, and I could tell you it was friggin' freezing. So I went up with him to his flat, where he gave me a couple of whiskies. He said that there was only one bed, so that we'd have to share. I didn't think anything of it. I climbed in and curled up to go to sleep. Do I want to know the rest? Said the vicar, laughing. What, not much to tell. This hand came over, but I told him in my best French that that wasn't my sort of thing, and he stopped. Unless something happened while you were asleep, of course. Well, I've often wondered about that. I'm still a gay virgin, but then I think I might have woken up. You astound me. So worldly wise and so naive, both at the same time. Perhaps you would like to share your story with the Crappenleys. They were waiting for us at the entrance to the Carlton, a huge tented tunnel complete with red carpet running all the way from the road to the main door. God forbid that the rich and famous should expose their hairdos to the piss and drizzle. And this is where I leave you, the vicar said. What plans do we all have for this evening? I shall be passing comb of finer teeth over someone I met at the party aboard the great ship Toy Boy, Lord Crappenley said. Mayhap Punk might care to offer a gentlemanly arm to Venus? A gentlemanly arm? What are you on, Jails? Don't ask him. Just tell him. Venus got in, taking my arm. He might turn me down. Punk should be my Prince Charming and take me to the ball. There's bound to be a concert at the Palais, and we have some unfinished business. We shall reconvene here at 9 o'clock, the vicar said. The bar is a fairly dreadful place, but I'm sure Punk will want to see it, one of the great sights of Meadem. So we scattered to the Four Skins for a couple of hours. Venus and I suffered the Spanish evening at the Palais. All very good, I'm sure, but all a bit too mind-faltering for me. People dancing behind screens and inside boxes. What would they think of next? Books where people write chapters with no words. Not that the time was wasted. Venus and I were indulging in some strange kind of courtship with rules I didn't really understand. Hey, I'm used to relationships that involve kissing, sucking, poodle poking and other bodily functions. This was more like being 16, full of sexual tension, but with nowhere to go. So, you were telling me about the way you used to steal from your mates when you were working on the boats, she whispered in my ear. And the guy with the orange eyebrow? What's all that about? Couldn't do any harm, could it? I held my pass in my hand and showed her the note on the back. Is this for real? It must be a joke. What, you met him? I said. And look, the note's on the inside of the pass. There were only 6 people there when they were made. The 2 receptionists, she looked at me with raised eyebrows, one of whom, I admit, was quite a fluffy little feather mitten, but we chose them at random, so it's unlikely it was them, which leaves just the 4 of us. You, your husband, the vicar, and me. You bumped into that same girl on the boat last night, didn't you? She asked. Are you sure it wasn't her? Can't see how, I said. So, it's one of us. How exciting. She fingered the pass as she thought about it. It was still in my hand, and her fingers gently walked from the pass onto my hand and then up my arm. I tell you, punksters, I can't remember when I was last so sensitive. Well, actually, I can. I was 15 and lying next to this girl on the beach who wanted to put her hands down my trunks. as girls do. I can't help it. I'm irresistible. And I couldn't let her do it though, because every time her fingers touched my skin, somewhere near my belly button, it was so sensitive that I had to push her away or hold her hand to stop it moving. And here I was, a grown man, feeling exactly the same. I just couldn't work Venus out. Not that she wasn't pivotal-tit. God knows, I would have said yes to the sticky little romance that this blog needs faster than... Well, I'll leave you to decide how fast I would have been. The problem was that I wasn't sure it was on offer. After all, her husband was hardly missing in action. And yet she kept giving me these signals, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. It was like learning a new language. Was she winking my whistler or not? Perhaps they were into threesomes. Oh, God, that'd be pretty disgusting. Oh, the thought of Lord Crappily naked was enough to make you sick. Well, tell you what she was doing now, for example. She was watching the dancing. A man dressed as a bullfighter standing on an upturned dustbin. Not a hint that she had anything else on her mind, except that every so often her fingers would wander off the armrest and walk like a spider up my arm. What did it mean? What did it mean? Fuck it. A small, delicate nibble on a lickalicious ear was the only way. A sharp slap in the face or a long, slow kiss coming my way very shortly. She turned her head, caught me in mid about-to-lick moment. You think it's me and Giles, don't you? Oh, well, yes, I reeled my tongue back in. It has to be. Either both of you or one or the other. Well, it ain't me, darling. It could be Giles. He's known the vicar for a long time. Maybe it's a joke between the two of them. Bless. Well, you saw the guy. Some joke. She turned back to the stage. The bullfighter had turned out to be a woman who was now reversing her costume to become some kind of giant turkey, or at least that's what it looked like to me. Do you and Giles, sleep together? The question had been bubbling up inside me. It just popped out before I even knew I was going to ask it. My boldness, crassness, stupidness, and any other word not ended with a ness, was greeted with a shh from all the people around us. I'd apparently raised the old decibel levels up a little too high. Oops. Yes, she whispered in my ear. He is my husband, and we do sleep in the same bed. Although, the way she said it made me think she could just easily have carried on to say, although. That boy's not good. He's got ears the size of diamonds, broken nose and a twisted face, with a voice that... Now, no description of me, then, or the carton would be complete without reference to the magnificent automatic toilet toy, or MAT for short. Be warned, approach these space-age monsters with care. I knew I was on some sort of spaceship because I could hear the whirl of an engine and was conscious of a slight sense of weightlessness. My stomach in particular noticed it. And then the door slid open and outside my little room was the real world. Hello blinding light, hello nausea, hello elderly woman screaming and kicking me.